The US empire is falling, and you can see how China is making its way up the ranks. Let's go over 8 reasons why China has surpassed the US. Now, I'm not going to go into these in detail, but I will cover them, and you can go into them for yourself if you wish. This is out of Bloomberg talking about China eclipsing the US as the biggest trading nation. Now, of course, the US economy is driven in most part by their consumers, but that's going to become a problem as China starts to do more and more business with other countries. Things are certainly changing. We're talking about trillions upon trillions of dollars being traded hands here. And this is out of census.gov, US trade in goods with China. This is 2013 stats. And you can see $121 billion exports and $440 billion imports. The surplus, the trade divide here is extremely large here. You're looking at the US being in more and more debt, and China essentially getting their way here. And this is something that is very dangerous for the future. Now, this is out of Thomasnet. China widens lead as the world's largest manufacturer. This is something that is obviously a problem because a nation is built under strong manufacturing. This is very important to build a good middle class. The middle class builds a country. That is what built the US empire, and here it is. That China is surpassing them now, and it doesn't look to be stopping anytime soon. As the individuals in China get more and more disposable income, they can buy things in their own nation. This, speaking of which, in my book, talked about how the manufacturing jobs are not being created in the Western countries, particularly in the US, because they've been shipped overseas. During the bailouts, we saw that companies were given multi-billion-dollar handouts, essentially, and they built factories in areas like China, for example, and they're making billions of dollars of profit, and they do not have to bring that money back in to be taxed. So this is obviously a crime. It's being done right now, and it is not changing. This is out of the Asia Times Online. What we're talking about here is that there are more graduates coming out of the universities, colleges in the US that are Chinese, and then they end up going back into their own country. This is a big factor here because there are so many. There are more Chinese graduates than any of the Americans, and this is something that's going to be a big problem for the future. Right here, China poised to overhaul US as biggest publisher of scientific papers, something that has been going on for quite some time now. And you can see how all of these individuals who have been getting their diplomas, degrees, you're looking at this now, and they're coming out and they're in these sort of fields and publishing all kinds of scientific papers, making headway in the global system. This is out of Reuters. China tops the US and Japan to become the top patent filer. Individuals in the West oftentimes will think of China as a copycat nation, but here they are becoming the top patent filer. And of course, not just with this, but with all of them, they are to be taken with a grain of salt, depending how you want to look at the statistics, but it is something showing you that they are growing, that they are becoming their own empire here, something to really look into. This right here, this is out of the Washington Post. U.S. losing its high-tech manufacturing jobs to Asia. And of course, that's what's happening with the manufacturing, as I said before. But here specifically with the high-tech industry, the U.S. is supposedly in the lead on that, but that is really not happening. They're more on the service side, and they're losing over to the manufacturing. This is out of Forbes. And what I'm talking about here is at the very top, China produced 11 times as much steel as America, 880 million tons versus 81 million. That is something that shows you the size of the Chinese industry, making it a dominant force in both the global steel and the market for production inputs. So what they're talking about here is that China is making big business. They're doing a lot of work right now, and they're building up their country, whether it's for public works projects or not. You can see how they're keeping the engine and burning, and that is allowing them to surpass the US in many of these categories. This is something to keep an eye on, something to watch out for. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. I want to note that my website is currently under construction, so just bear with me for a little bit while I make those changes. I'll let you know when it's all done. And don't forget to become an insider. That is at themoneygps.com. You scroll down to the bottom, fill in your email address, and you get occasional emails from me with good, short, concise info.